Ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Theatre in Castlebar proudly presents the one and only Mr. Conal Gallen!
Her name was Anna, she's from Bunkrana. She's a member of the Garda Síochána. She's the bride of Templemore, and now she's up in Dublin 4. And God help you if you're smoking marijuana. But you know, they say, you never know who's in on a night like this, do you? You never know who's in. And I love the Americans, ladies and gentlemen. I love them. I couldn't eat a whole bag of them, but I love them. There's an American one day, he was walking down a beach in Donegal, and he's walking like that. He's going. And wasn't Murphy coming up the other side? He was coming like this. And the American, and I love the Americans, because when American arrived, he spoke. He says, Vietnam, 1968. Murphy says, dog shite, 30 yards away. I remember one day Prince Charles, he was out the back of Buckingham Palace, or Sandringham, or some ham anyway. And he was out doing spot shooting. He was out with the double-barreled shotgun. He was out doing a bit of shooting, and he was going along, you see. And the next thing, he heard a rustle in the bushes. So he went over and he says, Russell, what are you doing in the bushes? I love a wee toast to you, ladies and gentlemen. Here's to those who wish me well, and those who don't can go to hell. And here's to those who wish me luck. And here's to the woman who kisses her husband and kisses her husband alone. For there's many's a woman kissing another woman's husband when she should be kissing her own. And here's to the man who's rocking his child and rocking his child alone. For there's many's a man rocking another man's child and thinks he's rocking his own. I started off, you see, in this business many years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I started off as a folk and ballad singer. And I'm going to do a folk and ballad for you now. And it's a beautiful song. It's called Where Did All the Folk and Ballad Singers Go? Now that's your line. Now you all have to do that. You all have to do that line. I'll do it for you. You do it at the beginning of the chorus and the end of the chorus. Now it's very simple, right? Where did all the folk and ballad singers go? We all try that? Where did all the folk and ballad singers go? Folk. Folk. Keep her country, right? Where did all the folk... If you could all do it together, it would be a great help. Where did all the folk and ballad singers go? No more will hear the seagull cry nor Mary from Dunlow. No puck or bully or even will you go, lassie go. Where did all the folk and ballad sing? It's like a Daniel O'Donnell concert. Where did all the folk and ballad sing? The three boys talking in the pub one night. One of the boys says, do you know what he says, I think my wife is having an affair with a painter. I said, what makes you think that? He said, home the other evening, he says, I found a paintbrush under the bed. And the boy says, funny you should say that. He says, I think my wife is having an affair with a plumber. He said, well, how'd you make that out? He said, home the other night, he says, I found a wrench under the bed. And Murphy stood up. Geez, the boy's a bit, I tell you. He says, I think my wife is having an affair with a horse. Jeez, how'd you work that out? I went home the other evening, I found a jockey under the bed. A fella sitting in a bar one day, and he's in a bar, and he's the most depressed man. He's very depressed. He's sitting there, and he's a drinking on in front. Like, I'll do it for you. He's got a drinking on. And he's sitting there, he's talking to himself. He's real, and he's muttering with himself. Oh, fuck, oh, gosh. Oh, sure. Might as well be dead. Might as well be dead, man. Do away with myself. Where's the time? Might as well be dead. I'm sitting there like that. Nobody in the bar. The next thing, the door opens. And this big truck driver comes in. 5'1". No, he's a big truck driver. He drives a big truck. I went to see a friend of mine one time, and he wouldn't, he was, he wasn't well. He was in the home for the bewildered, and No, but I know. And I went in, God love him, and I went in, and I says, where's Jack? He says, he's down in the big room. So I went down to the big room, and I went in, and there was Jack, and he was sitting in an armchair. And he was, and I went over to him, but there he was sitting, you know. So I went over, and I says, how are you, Jack? And he said, can't talk. He says, I'm driving to Cork with a lorry load of coal. Just I had to leave him. I didn't want to annoy him, you know. So I'd overseen another friend of mine, Jimmy, in the corner. And there was Jimmy in the corner, him going. I said, Jimmy, what are you at? He says, I'm tackling Jack's wife. He's away to Cork with a load of coal. Oh, listen. The pilot now, fair dues to him. It was great. We landed fairly near the airport. And it was great because we were there, ladies and gentlemen, Murphy and myself. We were there in Majorca for sea and sun and sand and sangria. And now you have to imagine Murphy, like I said, he's farming stock. He's a farmer. Never been abroad before. Never had a pair of swimming trunks on him before. Never had a pair. Imagine him now down on the beach in the pair of swimming trunks. We tight job. And the flip-flops. And the farmer's tan. Brown arms and a white arms. The two wee white matchstick legs, you know. And no matter whether he's going to the bog, going to the mart, or going down a beach in Spain, he walks the same way. So you have to picture him in the swimsuit and the flip-flops walking down the beach. Chatting up the women. How's your cotton, huh? How would you like to be buried with our people, huh? And then, when we were there, he heard about this festival. He heard about this festival. It was like a Mallorcan Lisdoonvarna, if you can imagine the scene. It was a place where men who were looking for women went to find a woman, and where women who were looking for men went to find a man. And it was a great idea. What they used to do is gather all the men and women all together, you see, in the village square beside the old church. And at 6 o'clock, the bells of the old church would toll. And all the women who were looking for men would leave the village square, and they'd go up into the hills surrounding the village. And the hills were covered in caves. And each woman would pick a cave, and she would go into the cave, and she'd sit there in the darkness. And then at 6:30, all the men were down there. The bell would toll again, and all the men would head up into the hills. And what they did was, they'd all pick a cave. Now, it was very unfair, but at the same time, beggars can't be choosers. What happened was a man would stand in front of a cave. Now, the woman could see what she was getting. He couldn't see what he was getting. But you know what I mean? You know, any port in a storm, you know yourself. And what a man would do, he'd pick a cave, and then he would stand in front of the cave, you know, and get himself preened, you know. And then he would give the old Mallorcan love call. He would go, woohoo! And if she fancied him, she replied, woohoo! And then he went, and how's your father? You know what I mean? And Jesus, Murphy says, you're bound to score here, bound to get something. So women went up at 6 o'clock, 6:30, dong, the bell went again, Murphy up, but Jesus round all these caves. The biggest cave he could get, stood in front of it, got himself ready. And he gave the old Mallorcan love call, woohoo! But Jesus, he got a reply, woohoo! And he ran in and he got hit by a train. I remember young Murphy, years ago, and Mrs. Murphy arrived home one day, and she says, Murphy, I have great news. Murphy said, what? She says, I am after winning 2 tickets to Pavarotti. Murphy said, jeez, that's great. Is it for 1 week or 2? Says, I horse it into you, Cynthia, for you're the girl for me. Let's raise the roof. Horse it into you, Cynthia, for you're the finest looking filly that I'd ever see. You're the onions in me burger, you're the sugar in me tea. So horse it into you, Cynthia, for you're the girl for me. Yes, horse it into you, Cynthia. Why? 'Cause you're a fine looking woman. Yeah!